Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Lancaster Archery with a product video for you today. We wanted to introduce you to a brand new sight from CBE. This is the CX-5 bow sight. This is a great bow sight from CBE. You can see here it's a 5-pin sight. We've got 19,000 sized pins in there. Just a great sight that CBE came out with, and one of the features that they wanted to build into this was they wanted to make it light. For those bow hunters who are really conscious about how much weight they're carrying around, this is an awesome hunting bow sight that weighs in at less than 9 ounces. Great lightweight sight from CBE, and how they did that was by incorporating a high-modulus carbon sight rod in here. So this thing weighs almost nothing. That's how they were able to cut a lot of the weight. And going through the sight here, we'll just run down the features for you. One of the things I really like on there is I have the Allen screw here just loosened up a little bit so that this can slide, but there's a spring-loaded button in there that will hold this sight in place. You can see the divots for each position of the sight, you know, as you set the distance from your bow that you want this to match your peep. It's a 4-inch carbon rod there, but you can hear this as I slide it along. You can hear it click into place. So I really like that because there's no fumbling around, you know, trying to find out exactly where that divot is. You just slide the bar and that spring is just going to capture it. So that's a great feature there. Now we've got incredible micro adjustments on this sight for elevation and windage. For the elevation, you're going to have your locking knob right here. I would just loosen that. And now I have my adjustments for up and down here, and they are micro adjust. I mean, you turn this thing one click and it just barely moves. So you can really dial in that sight, get the scope housing where you want it. Once you're done, come back here, lock down the locking knob, and now nothing's going to move. So that's great. And of course your windage then, your left-right is right here. Here's your locking knob. You got your screw on the side here. I'll turn it around so you can see the laser etchings in there that tell you exactly where that sight is. I mean, I'm moving this thing a ton, or turning this a ton, and the scope is moving very slowly. That lets you know that you can really micro adjust this sight exactly where you want it. You can get this sight really dialed in. Now, the pins in this sight, one thing I really love about them is they are bladed. So as you can see in there, it's not just simply a piece of metal, single piece of metal coming out like a stick with the fiber attached to the end. Boy, those things, as you're walking through the brush, if a stick gets in there, you could bend those so easily. These are actually a blade, and the fiber is connected on the back of that blade, so it's held down in multiple places. Just super strong connection there for your fibers that, you know, I'm pushing on that and it's not bending down there. So they really are held in place. And of course, you can see how bright those are. These pins really glow. That's because all your fibers contained in a clear plastic housing up here that's going to protect them, and yet it's going to put them up high and out exposed where they can gather light. Each pin, incidentally, comes with 12 inches of fiber. Of course, with these fiber optic, the more fiber you have, the more light it gathers, and the more it's transmitted to the end there, which is what you use. So 12 inches in this tiny little housing, that's great. But if that's not bright enough for you, the sight comes with a light attached. It's a blue light, so not going to spook a deer if they see that. And what's great about it is that brightness is adjustable. So that thing will really brighten those pins up. You know, for you ground blind hunters, you're sitting in the dark shooting out into the light. You know that sitting in that blind, your pins are black basically. So that light is going to help you guys a lot. All right, so each one of these pins is adjustable. You got your Allen screw right here. I would just loosen this up. This is my top pin, so this would probably be my 20-yard pin. Once I loosen that, I can just slide it up or down to get it to where I want. You can see I moved that all the way to the top. That's what that's going to look like then. And then once you have your pin set where you want it, your 20-yard pin, if you want to have a lot of distance, like 5-pin sight, you may want to go 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So to get enough room in there, what you would do is slide that pin all the way to the top, and then you're going to adjust your elevation. You're going to use your elevation to move the whole scope until that pin is now 20 yards. And then you know you've got plenty of room within that scope housing for all your other pins. Now, of course, with any quality CBE sight you're going to have, you're going to get adjustments for second and third axis. You've got your second axis adjustments right here. These two bolts right here, that's going to be the second axis. Second axis, what that does, it adjusts the sight this way. Okay? Now, for your third axis, it's going to be you're basically going to adjust your level. And you're going to do that on the bottom here. You can see that the Allen key for this side of the level sits in an oval. So you're going to move the level back and forth to set your third axis. The third axis, of course, adjusts your sight this way, like a swinging door, if you can imagine your sight moving this way. And so by adjusting the oval on the bottom there, you can move the bubble, and then you can get your third axis level. So another cool feature about this sight is depending on your bow's speed, you may need to move this sight up or down the entire housing to be able to get all the distances that you want in there. And depending on how this sits on your bow, you may not have enough in this center position, but fortunately, CBE gives you other alternative mounting holes for the entire bracket. You can see I've got one right there, and I've got a couple down below. So just by taking out these two screws, I can move that whole housing up or down. Same thing for windage, left and right. If you've got a really fat riser or something that you need more left, or it's a real skinny riser and you don't need as much, you can see right here, I've got another mounting position for the scope housing, which would change my left-right, my windage. I could just move this over to here. Now I don't have as much to go left, but I would have more right adjustment. So just something that accounts for many different situations. Now in the package, you are going to get 4 of these colored rings here. You can see I've got the green one in there. I got white, orange, and yellow. Whatever, that's personal preference. Whatever you see best. It's a very simple procedure to replace it. Just going to pop that out. Let's take my yellow one. There's an indentation in there, and it just snaps into place like that. So you can swap those out to find out which one you see the best. So one of the really cool things about the CX-5 sight is that they are all ambidextrous. So they're going to come in the box mounted as right-handed sights, but they can easily be converted to left-handed sights, and we're going to walk you through that process. So first off, you're going to see 2 screws on your fiber housing. There's one right there, and there is one in the middle right there. So we're going to remove those. Okay, so that's going to come off and expose our fiber. Then we have 4 screws right here on the housing. We're going to remove all 4 of those. Okay, once I have all 4 of those off, I've got my pieces like this. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the scope housing this way, take my ring out, bring it around to the other side. My fiber, you can see it comes out the top. I'm just going to push these all through. Now, you can see the same hole that they went through when they were right-handed. You're going to see the exact same hole at the bottom of the sight. So I'm just going to thread the fibers through there. I'm Going to mount the sight again, put my 4 screws back. Okay, now as you can see, I flip it over, this would be mounted as a left-handed bow sight, and now the scope has been flipped, so my bubble's on the bottom. Now all I have to do is reattach my fiber cover. All right, so now you can see I just took that right-handed sight, now it's a left-handed sight, so that's great. You left-handed archers, you don't have to wait around to see if there's any left-handed sights in stock. Every CX-5 is a right or a left-handed sight. All right, so that is the brand new CBE CX-5 5-pin hunting sight. Excellent sight that we got there from CBE. Glad to have it here at Lancaster Archery. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to click that bell to get notifications whenever we put out new videos. And as always, if you have any questions, you can visit us at lancasterarchery.com.